For so many people out there living with these mysterious, undiagnosed conditions, the internet has been, well, it's been everything. But now there's a new player in the game, artificial intelligence. So today we're diving in and asking the big question, is AI a revolutionary new tool for the medically misunderstood, or is it just more hype, more digital noise? For a lot of folks, this whole journey starts not in a doctor's office, but with a quiet, desperate question.
See? It just starts with a feeling. A question you might type out into the void of an online forum, hoping anyone will say me too. It's that search for a little bit of validation, for someone else who gets it, especially when you're dealing with these baffling symptoms that doctors often just dismiss. It can be an incredibly confusing and lonely road to walk by yourself.
Well, that search for answers is now heading into a totally new frontier. With these incredibly powerful large language models, or LLMs, becoming so common, people are turning to AI for ideas, for support. For anything, really. But what are they actually finding there? And, more importantly, can you even trust it? All right, to really get a handle on where we are now, we've got to look at just how far we've come in such a short time. I mean, just a couple of years back, AI was completely clueless about these rare patient-coined conditions like PATM. That stands for People Allergic to Me. But its evolution has been, well, it's been shockingly fast. This timeline really tells the story. In early 2023, you ask ChatGPT 3.5, and it basically dismisses you by inventing a psychological label. A bit later, newer models are still just guessing, throwing out other made-up conditions. But then, fast forward to mid-2024, and bam, a huge turning point. All of a sudden, the major AI models start recognizing the term people are actually using and providing relevant info. The AI was finally catching up to people's real lived experiences.
So with this newfound capability, we thought, okay, let's put them to the test. We gave a bunch of different AIs the exact same prompt, a patient dealing with a really distressing undiagnosed malodor. And the results? Let's just say it was a fascinating, and sometimes pretty scary, mix of real competence, total confusion, and some straight-up AI hallucinations.
Okay, so check this out. On one hand, you have a competent AI that correctly links the symptoms to Olfactory Reference Syndrome, which is a recognized condition. It gives you a real avenue for research. But then you look at the other AI, and it just confidently invents a medical-sounding condition that is completely fake. One sends you on a path to real answers, the other sends you straight down a frustrating rabbit hole. And this is where it can get genuinely risky. The helpful AI suggests a balanced, smart plan. First, rule out any hidden medical causes, and then maybe look into psychological support, like CBT, which is a type of therapy that helps you manage anxious thoughts. But the other AI, oh boy, it misinterprets PATM as people are talking about me, and immediately jumps to suggesting it's a paranoid delusion. The difference in usefulness, and honestly, in empathy, is just staggering. And this problem of AI just making stuff up, it's everywhere. We saw a whole gallery of bizarre definitions. Gemini 1.5 invented one nonsensical term, Mistral Large came up with another. Ye Lightning created this really blunt, judgmental acronym, and Amazon's AI just flat out said the condition doesn't exist. This variety proves a really crucial point. You absolutely cannot trust the answer you get from just one AI. So you might be thinking, is this all just a chaotic mess then? Well, not exactly. If you know what you're looking for, you can actually use these tools to pull the real science out from the science fiction. The best AIs can be these incredible research assistants, pulling together legitimate science for you, as long as you ask the right questions. For instance, look at this. When we asked about the potential biochemical reasons for Malodor, a good AI gave us this table. It lists specific odor-causing compounds, the microbes that make them, and where they come from. Now this is actionable scientific information. It gives you real terms and pathways to research, and more importantly, to discuss with a doctor. This is AI being a fantastic clue finder. And that brings us to a really critical question. Most of the competent AIs, because they're drawing from the existing medical literature, came to the same conclusion. The PATM is probably a psychological condition, like Olfactory Reference Syndrome. But what if the medical books are just behind? What if the patients are actually onto something that science hasn't quite caught up with yet? You can see this conflict playing out perfectly right here. On one side, you've got the AI consensus, reflecting what most of the medical literature says, that it has a psychological origin. But on the other side, you have a groundbreaking 2022 study that was published in Frontiers in Psychiatry. So what did this study find? Well, it turns out that people reporting these PATM symptoms had something really unusual going on in their bodies. They had skin bacteria living in their gut. Not only that, but the worse their symptoms were, the more of these odor-producing gut microbes they had. And here's the most hopeful part. A specific probiotic treatment actually reduced those misplaced skin bacteria and the person's own reported feeling of malodor. Now, this is still early evidence, but it's the first real sign that PATM might have a treatable biological cause related to the gut-skin connection.
Okay, so we've seen the good, the bad, and the just plain weird. The big question now is, how do you actually navigate this complicated world? How can you use these powerful but seriously flawed tools in a way that's safe and actually effective? Well, it all comes down to having the right strategy. So let's build ourselves a smart AI toolkit.
All right, here are 5 key steps. First, always triangulate. Compare a few different AIs to see where they agree and, more importantly, where one of them is going off the rails. Second, you have to be a detective, not a patient. Use AI to hunt for clues, like those metabolites and bacteria, not to get a diagnosis. Third, and this is a big one, fact-check the facts. If an AI mentions a study, go find it yourself on a reliable source like PubMed. Fourth, focus on the how-to questions. Ask for coping strategies, diet ideas, emotional support. And finally, step 5, the most crucial step. Partner with a professional. Organize the clues you found and take them to a real doctor to guide a real investigation.
And it's worth remembering this. Even our most competent AI model made sure to emphasize this point. No matter what the root cause of a condition is, the social distress, the anxiety, that stuff is real and it's profound. Getting psychological support isn't about admitting it's all in your head. It's a smart, powerful way to manage the very real emotional toll that these conditions take.
We started this whole thing by asking if AI was help or hype. And it seems pretty clear the answer is, well, it's both. It can be a chaotic mess of misinformation for sure, but it can also be an absolutely incredible tool for discovery. Which kind of brings us to our final thought. Maybe the real promise of AI isn't about it having all the answers. Maybe its true power is in helping us learn how to ask better, sharper, and more informed questions on our own journey to find them.